Yo, 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 everybody, what is up? Welcome back to another episode of the What Now podcast. Spencer and Zach, we're on our Dolo cast. I'm currently editing our episode with Colton Wood. That should come out today.
You're listening to this next week.
You're listening to this the week after Colton Wood's episode. So, what's up, Zach? How are you?
What's up, man? Doing great. Post high rocks, feeling good.
Nice, dude. Yeah, I saw that. I just bought a weight vest. I'm going to get into
ruck action.
I'm going to get into weight vesting, I guess.
Nice. I did an hour ruck this morning.
What do you use to ruck? You just have a backpack?
No, I have a weighted vest.
Nice. Which one do you have?
I have the Rogue weighted vest.
Nice. The plate carrier?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I got too. I got the Echo plate carrier. It was so weird, dude. Like, because the plate carrier, it took like a month for it to come out. And then the plates for it, I wasn't going to get for like 6 weeks. And that's for like the standard one, which is like technically cheaper. But then the like upgraded one, the Echo version, it was like $60 less for the whole setup. And I could get it in 2 days. But it's like technically like the premium one. I guess the regular plate carrier is so popular that they're like, yeah, we're just going to jack up the price on this. So cause and effect.
Not a bad.
Supply and demand.
Yeah. No, I love rucking. That's something I did a lot during 75 Hard last year. And then I think I was just burnt out from doing. I think I rucked every day.
I thought rucking was just with a backpack.
Rucking is with any weight on your back, from what I've understood.
So it's just walking with weight?
Yeah.
But what if the weight is on the front? Isn't that considered a ruck?
I considered it a ruck. I have half of my weight on the front.
Same.
I don't know. I think it would be stupid to say it has to be a backpack. Because like a Go Ruck backpack is crazy expensive.
Yeah. I don't know. But maybe if you want to be legit.
I mean, we even started a ruck club for a second with our practice.
You told me about that.
Yeah. Trying to create community.
Yeah. Nice. Cool. Well, all right. Let's just keep talking about what we were talking before we hit record, because this is a valuable conversation. So what we were talking about previously, before we press record for you people, is EHRs. And I've actually had people message me, and I think we just had a big long thread in our fraternity group chat about which EHR people are using, all of those kind of things. 3 years in, that's crazy, dude. We're starting our 3rd year in practice. It's pretty wild.
It's wild.
3 years into practice, where have you been in terms of the EHR spectrum? I've been back and forth between a bunch. I've looked into all of them.
Yeah, I've looked into most of them as well. So when I was doing my independent contracting in Dallas, I was with Kyra HD. I really loved it. Cloud-based, really nice user interface. Notes were super smooth. Two-way texting, I really liked it. And then when I opened on my own, I went with Jane because that's what everyone else was doing, and it was great. And so I opened with Jane, and I am not as software savvy as Spencer, so a lot of the limitations in Jane from a high volume side of things caught up with me pretty quickly. So we switched over to Platinum. Platinum had told me they would be cloud-based, so I switched over to Platinum in October of 23 with the knowledge, or with what was told to me, that Platinum would be cloud-based by June of 24. And I guess really quick, should we talk about the difference between like server and cloud-based for those that might not be aware?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much what I was going to say is that it's 2025. If your EHR, if you are starting in practice. Now, this is a totally different conversation. If you've been in practice and you're OG and you're like, if you're UNC status.
Yeah.
If you consider yourself UNC, then, which is, I guess, what the kids mean, like for old. But if you consider yourself in that realm and you already have a server-based software, then just keep rocking it, because it's a hassle to switch. No matter if you switch from cloud to no matter what software you switch to, it is a pain.
Yeah.
So don't do it if you don't have to. I knew that, and so I dug in so deep to all the different EHRs. I think I demoed 12 of them. But it's 2025, to make my point. Make sure that there's no reason that your EHR isn't cloud-based. Like, there's no reason to have a server. I don't see any reason, any situation in where it's beneficial to have a server-based EHR, unless you have been in practice for 20 years and that's how you do it. And even if I was in practice for 20 years and I was going to start another practice, I would just get that same software in its cloud version. Or like if it didn't have a cloud version, I would just find a different one and put it in that second practice. There's no way I would be rocking another server.
Right.
There's no way.
So Platinum, it is now March 2025. As mentioned, June 2024 is when they're supposed to be cloud-based. Still not cloud-based.
So can you define what cloud-based is and what server-based is?
Yes. So from my understanding, server is basically your EHR has to be connected to the wall, if that makes sense. So you can't go home, do notes. You can't. Everything has to be done in the office. For us, because of our office layout, I actually had to invest close to $600 to $7,500
Jeez.
just to make it like adequate for
All your
server
Cat
based.
5 cables and stuff
Yeah,
running through the ceiling and the walls.
yeah.
And pain.
So that was painful. It's made our front desk look, not appealing
Rat's
from
nest.
the backside, just because there's so many wires and blah blah blah. But we did it, and it's not that I regret it, but it was definitely the harder way around it, because Platinum was server based, and so we made that switch. And then cloud based is your EHR is everywhere you go, right? It's just like your photos on your phone, how everything goes up into the cloud. Same idea. It'd probably be good for us to have someone on that can actually speak technology terms a whole lot better, but it's still very HIPAA compliant. There's no issues from like a security standpoint, but you can take your EHR with you.
Yeah, from my understanding, the difference between cloud and server-based is like, so server-based, a server is a place that all of your data is stored in, whether you're on the cloud, quote, or in a server. So server-based EHR is going to mean that that server is in your physical office space. So you have to be connected to it, whether through it's a wireless signal. You have to be in range of that server, whether you're
Mhm.
hardwired in through like a Cat 5 cable, which is like the blue Ethernet cables,
Mhm.
or you are like connected to it via Wi-Fi or something like that. You have to be like in the vicinity. Cloud-based is where the servers are hosted in some warehouse in the middle of nowhere, and everything is stored there. So whether you're on the cloud or not, you just access that server through the internet rather than through a hard local network.
Mhm.
That's what I understand. Servers, this is the big thing, is like servers, you have to continually build upon your storage. So it's like back in the OG days, like when you had a flash drive and your flash drive was full. You're like, oh, I have this 1 GB flash drive, and then I fill up that flash drive. Now I have to get another flash drive and another flash drive and another flash drive. Where cloud, everything is just stored online, and whoever owns it, the powers that be, maybe it's God, just owns the cert. It just has control over that, and they continually update it as you need. So cloud-based EHRs, you can log in on your phone. You can take your laptop and log in at the coffee shop. You can
Mhm.
do all those kind of things. The thing that's nice is that with a server-based EHR, you'll have to back up a server. So basically, to like create an insurance behind your data to where you don't lose people's records, you have to download everything that you have to like a hard drive, and then you store that like in a filing cabinet somewhere. And you have
Mhm.
to do that over and over and over again to continually update it to make sure you don't lose your stuff. Cloud-based, everything is automatically updated, automatically saved.
Mhm.
They're always cheaper too, like because like the servers, you got to install it, you got to program it. It takes hardware that you have to buy. Like,
Yeah, like just so like our transition, and I don't know if this is normal time, if this is more time, but it took us. So we went with platinum for sake of numbers. Say we went with platinum October 1st, um, of 2024. It took us until about Christmas, so 3 full months to fully transition, have the setup, have everything basically uploaded and ready to go from a technology standpoint, from notes, from everything. So it was quite the upheaval of like transitioning from that because of the server based. So if
yeah,
you're,
because I mean, basically, you have to take it and program it. You're basically just taking a whole computer and you're programming it to do what you want. It's like
Mhm.
having a blank slate of a computer. It's just tough.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I mean, and I have tried to switch EHRs. I think we talk about it in like, dude, I think we talk about it in like episode like 8 about me
I think
switching
so.
EHRs like a long
You
time
were
ago.
about ready to switch too.
Dude, I was working on switching and it was just not it, dude. I was working on switching for the sake of having an integrated payment processor. And Jane has an integrated payment processor, but I didn't love its features. And then I ended up meeting my payment solutions guy, and I actually have an AI computer that has a Jane account. His name is Robo Joe. And because our payment guy, his name is Joe. Joe's also the guy that, which, dude, we should get Joe on here at some point so that we can talk about payment processing and what to look for in terms of your payment fees and how to reduce your cost on what you pay to merchant services. Because he has helped us with that. I think, like, dude, like on our record months, like, just to give you guys like some perspective, when I was with another payment company and we did 20K a month, I was paying like $3,000 in payment processing fees. I was taking that home, and then whenever we did DK in 1 month, we paid 1,500. So I paid half of the merchant fees for
Who were you with
bringing
before?
just another company that, because merchant services, it's all about like your compliance to merchant services has like something that's like kind of parallel to HIPAA, but
Mhm.
it's called like FDIC compliance. And your FDIC compliance is, it basically ensures that you're not having fraudulent transactions. And the more information you put in and the better you set up your merchant processing stuff, the more FDIC compliant you are. The more compliant you are, the less risk you have. The less risk you have, the less they charge you.
I see.
So all of the, by making sure that you're like good across the board there, you can reduce your transaction costs a lot. Whereas if you're with like some of the bigger transaction companies like Square, Stripe, or all those
Mm,
kind of places, they're just going to charge you more just for the convenience things. They're all still super compliant like that, but they just charge you a ton because they can. Whereas if you go with somebody local or like somebody with my guy like Joe, who he works a
mhm,
lot with like medical providers, he just controls the rates a lot better, and so it gives me a good deal. But anyway, that's a totally different thing that
mhm.
you never think that you'd have to learn about. Yeah, so I mean, that was one of the biggest things. I was going to switch, and I was just looking at it, and like, dude, switching EHRs is just brutal. Um, yeah. So what is like? Okay, so you went from Jane, and we'll talk about like why I'm with Jane and stuff later, but we'll kind of wrap up your story here.
Mhm,
What is, so you were with HD and then you switched to Jane. We all know
mhm.
why you switched with Jane. So why did you switch from Jane to Platinum? And then why are you looking to switch from Platinum to HD?
Looking back, I really have no idea why I switched from Jane to Platinum. I think, well, I kind of do. We had gotten to a higher volume standpoint, and I think like before we started the recording, I'm not as tech savvy as you are, and so figuring out how to, and there's really two big reasons. One, there were some tech sides that I can't remember what exactly they were, but it was also hard-ish for my CA office manager at the time to really track care plans because it's not meant for that. And Platinum and most chiropractic specific EHRs, you can pre-program your care plans into it, so it keeps track of it for you, even down to like, hey, they've been coming in twice a week for 6 weeks, they need, and it'll give you an alert they're switching to once a week. And with Jane, that was difficult, so he would basically have to backtrack almost every visit, like where they at on their care plan.
Mm-hmm.
I did not love that because it was really easy, the higher volume we got, for people to have extra visits, not transition correctly, miss progress exams, those sort of things. Um, and so that was a big reason we switched. Um, and I think there was a third reason, but it was so long ago that I don't really remember.
Yeah.
And so we switched. And um, so we switched to Platinum. One thing with Platinum was it didn't necessarily have text reminders built into it like Jane does. It's a great feature of Jane. So text reminders in regards to appointments, whether it's 24 hours, 2 hours before. So we had to bring on SCAD as well. So that was another thing that I thought was cool. Every other chiropractic office was using SCAD, so I was like, let's use SCAD. And so they set up our appointment reminders. We had two-way texting with SCAD, or we have two-way texting with SCAD. Basically, another feature of that Jane didn't have that I did like the appeal of was that people could text our exact number that's connected to our landline. So they're not having to look, I get this text reminder. Do I text back to reschedule, or do I have to find another text? So it's really efficient on the patient side of things. And I think, if you've been listening to the podcast, you know that's something Spencer and I are both big on, is really making it as easy as possible for the patient or the customer journey. And then, yeah, go from there as well. So those were all some of the big things for us switching. And it's not that I've disliked Platinum, but it's just still server based. And we're basically using SCAD for two-way texting. I don't really love their forms personally, so we're not using their forms. We still use Platinum's forms. And again, I'm not very tech savvy, so I'm sure there are people out there like, what do you mean you don't like SCAD's forms or whatever? It's just something we just liked our Platinum
It's just
forms.
all it's all preference. It's
Yeah.
just I mean, it's do you like this or do you like not? Like there are some people I'm sure that are listening to this that are like, yeah, I was with Jane, I can't stand it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm with
It's just how EHRs are.
the thing is like your software is going to be a reflection of your systems. Your systems are a reflection of your personality and the culture of your practice. And so, do you like if it doesn't fit, then it probably doesn't fit. Jane, I hear like is really tough on the insurance side of things.
Mm-hmm. And that was
And
another thing too, is we do provide a lot of super bills. We do a lot of, I don't want to say we do a lot of, but we work with PIP cases, like personal injury protection. Not necessarily like PI cases, but in Texas, a lot of people have uh, personal injury protection when they get in a car accident, whether they're at fault or not. So they'd like to use that. And so that requires us to keep all of that. And Platinum does a phenomenal, when it comes to like super bills and hexaforms, Platinum's got that down. And Jane does not. So
yeah, I have no
those
idea
are,
what a hexaform is.
yeah.
Yeah, I have no idea what that is. But okay, so then what's prompting you? Okay, so tell me like what's your biggest pro?
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like the biggest con with Platinum is like you're saying is like it's server based,
Mm-hmm.
right? So limited storage. You
Limited
got to be in
storage.
the office to do it. Only accessible to office, which is great. It helps. It forces you into some work life balance, but it's good.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so what's the biggest pro with Platinum? Obviously, super billing and charting,
Yeah,
insurance
super billing
compliance is
charting.
good.
I think it's made for care planning offices. So, I mean, our patients are just, they're basically, once they sign on to care, they finish report of findings. They sign up for a 20 visit care plan. We put 20 visit in, and it just maps out their plan for us.
Yep, chiropractic specific.
Yeah, so love that aspect. Their customer support is pretty good. I do really like that. And any other pros, note taking is quick. It's not laborious. So that's also a pro as well. Yep.
That's okay. And then so gonna go back to HD or thinking about HD.
Contemplating looking at HD. Maybe Genesis, I know, is another one thrown out there.
Dude, I was looking into one of them, and I've been following them on Instagram because their Instagram is kind of fun. But it's called Cairo Spring. It reminds me like it's like if HD and Jane like had a child, basically.
Cairo Spring.
Cairo Spring. Yep. Their marketing has been good. Their branding is good. It's a pretty small company from what I've seen. So it's kind of on the up and up. I know that some of our friends at TWP use Dr. Chrono and they really like Dr. Chrono. I know that Ricardo, shout out Ricky if he listens to this, I know he started out with Cairo Cat.
Yeah. I don't know if they're still going.
I don't even know. I haven't looked into that one, but I've been really happy with Jane, honestly. My team's really happy with Jane.
And that was another thing. So like from a aesthetic and just like user interface, Jane is so, I don't say simple,
So nice, dude. It's
but
smooth. Like,
so smooth. And Platinum looks like it's a dinosaur. Like when it's like, so the way our office is kind of set up, if you're leaving our office, like if you just got adjusted and you're walking to the front desk, you can kind of see our computers, and Platinum is just so ugly. And I'm just like, man, that's just tough on the eyes. Tough on the eyes.
yeah.
Plus you got all our wires, but Jane is very smooth.
Yeah. So, I mean, I could talk about. Do you have anything else to add about those guys?
Mm-mm.
Well, yeah, dude. I mean, honestly, I think that gives a lot of insight. Just like, and having used multiple EHRs, like, I think it gives you. What have you learned about your systems?
Mm-hmm.
Like to you, okay. So now that we've been through 3 EHRs in our last 3 years. What is your number one must have in an EHR for you that you're looking for? So you're seeing adults with back
Mm-hmm.
pain, some PI cases, or personal injury cases,
Mm-hmm.
seeing a lot of those kind of things. Your people, they probably have great benefits, so they want a super bill, but yeah, we don't want to submit directly because we're cash and cash is king. Also, shout out cash practices if you are cash, because it's a real hustle out here for cash practices. But
It do be.
so yeah, what's your one must have in your type of practice?
Man, one must have. I
Yep.
think
What's your deal breaker?
one.
Yep. If you go and let's say you interview the next 20 EHR companies, if they don't have this one thing, what is your
I mean, I think we
deal
said. I
breaker?
mean, cloud based. I think moving forward is the deal breaker for sure. And then on top of that is more so keeping my staff in mind as well, and then big vision. We still want to grow to multiple clinics. I think that's something else with Platinum I don't know about, but I never really asked. With it being server based, like that would suck to have to go into each and every
Yeah, you got to put a server in each
put
one.
a server in each one. So if we ever had the opportunity, similar to what my wife's practice is doing, where they have that satellite location, like that's just not an option for us, right? So that's a big one. And then that third thing I talked about is really not just from a like care plan tracking ability and the super bills and everything, but how efficient and easy is it for staff to run? Because it might be really nice on my end, but they're the ones dealing with it on a day to day.
100%.
Like one thing I loved about Jane is how nice the weekly view was. So when my office manager is on the phone booking a new patient, they could see the full week. Where as if they're in Platinum, they can't. There's not really a weekly view. So they have to kind of click through each day to look at when openings are. And I know having used Cower HD, that's something they offer as well, is that weekly view.
Yep. Uh, yeah, that's great, dude. That's super insightful. Yeah, dude. At this point, like I said, I think at the beginning we've hammered it home, but dude, if you're server based, like it's immediate. So, like I'm looking the other way. If you're a server based EHR, sorry if you guys are listening and you own a server based EHR. But it's 2025. I mean, I feel confident about saying that. Like, let's get everything on the cloud. At least from a consumer side of things, maybe from a safety and HIPAA compliance type of thing. That's more. It's better to have a server base. I don't know the reasons why you would choose to not be server based, but from the consumer side as a startup, like yeah, I'm not even looking at a server based thing. Okay, dude. So yeah, I'm with Jane, and
You've kind of become the Cairo master of Jane from a high volume standpoint.
maybe, dude. I don't know, man. I just figured that, like, okay, so this is how I tell people to approach Jane. I really like Jane for all of the features it has. I think their customer support is phenomenal. I'm really happy with their willingness to take feedback and actually execute on it. Like, there are actually some things that like have been on the Jane forums that they're like, "Hey, we're working on it." The founder, we actually listened to a podcast with her and we had to write a paper on it or something like that in school. I remember at one point, the founder of Jane, but she's super transparent on the Facebook group about, hey, this is why we can or can't do these features. I know everybody's asking about it, but it's just not feasible for us. So she's super transparent and honest. They're Canadian, so like they're super nice. So I really respect that of them. This is how I tell people to approach Jane. Is Jane was started for chiropractors, but then they scaled and they expanded to being able to just be a EHR for providers. And so the language of chiropractic is not necessarily embedded into Jane. So like instead of Chiro HD saying, oh, what's their care plan? It just says a package. And so you have to wrap your mind around the fact that like these are the same things, but it's just not the same words, right? That's like saying the cart, like the grocery cart. But I grew up saying the buggy because I'm from the South. And so I've always called it a buggy, but it's the same thing. Is we just call it two different things. Same feature. What I like about Jane is that you can change all of the language. You can't change packages and memberships and stuff, but I mean, whatever, you just figure it out. And so you just kind of have to like think outside of the box a little bit when it comes to how to get this to operate like a true chiropractic software. And so we don't take our payments inside of Jane. One, because I thought that the payment processing was very expensive. And two, the biggest issue I have with the payment processing is that you cannot redeem visits out of a package until it's paid in full. So then you do have to backtrack your care plans. And this is where a lot of people have qualms with it. But we have a couple friends that like are using Jane and they have a great workaround.
Mhm.
And it's been good for them. So it takes a little bit, there's a little bit of a learning curve to like set up the billing properly, but once you get it down, it's like pretty simple. And so like the issue is like if I sell you 24 visits and you're on a 24 visit care plan and I apply that to you, it'll tell you that you owe, like that you cannot use those 24 visits until you pay it off in full. So like if my 24 visits is $2,000 and you're paying $500 a month for the next 4 months, until you have 4 total payments, I can't apply your visits to that. So then I would have to go back after the 4 months and just count all your visits into that
Mhm.
package to make sure that you use them all. So that's kind of inefficient there. In Jane too, the charting kind of sucks actually. But this is what I love about Jane is that they sent a client survey out and they said, hey, we want to hear like what you think could be improved in Jane. And I wrote them like a pretty actual like extensive paragraph because I'd like to see this change about the charting experience. And then they reached out to me a week later and they're like, hey, we actually really liked your feedback. Are you willing to get on a call? And I'll get on a call with them at 12:30 today with their director of their charting department to talk about how we can improve their charting. And so like that's pretty cool that they're just even willing just to hear me out. It's a 30-minute call, but that's great. So their willingness to grow and do like since I've been with them for the last 3 years, they've added so many more features. Like they just added a timesheet where like your employees can clock in and clock out of Jane. And so now you don't have to pay the extra, whatever it is, $20 in your payroll software to do clock in, clock
Mhm.
out. Like that's really nice.
Mhm.
They also made it to where all of your itemized receipts and super bills are automatically uploaded to the patient's chart. And so they don't have to reach out to you and say, hey, can you send me a super bill for every one of my visits of the last year? They
Mhm.
can just see that in their portal and download it automatically, all of their receipts every time. That's really
Nice.
cool. Jane, everybody says that it's not very capable for high volume, but we're seeing about 300 a week right now, and it's
Mhm.
fine for us. Like we have no issues. The day chart, the day view, it kind of sucks. Like for the charting and stuff, I wish you could expand it over just a little bit. Like that would be super helpful. But I think the reason that a lot of people get really upset with Jane when it comes to high volume is because the screen gets really busy. Because this is what I've learned too, most EHRs, when you look at the week, you're looking at it day to day. So your whole screen just shows you one day's worth of visits. On Jane, the default screen is the whole week. So all Monday through Friday. And so the appointments get really, 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 really tiny when you start to book people in multiple in the same slot. All you have to do is expand that day view, and
Mhm.
then it looks just like all of the other softwares. So like Caitlin, when she was working at Serving Life uses ChiroTouch because
Mhm.
Denise's OG, they have server-based ChiroTouch because she had it forever ago, and it works great for them. And so Kate was saying like ChiroTouch was just so much cleaner. ChiroTouch was just so much cleaner. And I was saying like, well, yeah, ChiroTouch, you're just looking at one day's worth of patients. Whereas in this, we're looking at almost the whole week. So just switch to the day view and now it looks the same. Right. And they're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. And so it's like, yeah, you just kind of have to like think outside of the box. Like we have to, on Jane a little bit because it's not chiropractic specific, and like a lot of times it's like functional medicine that's using it or estheticians or
Yeah, I've had
PTs.
like therapists, like it's all over the board. Yeah.
Yeah, right. And so like some people have 3 hour long appointment slots.
Mhm.
And so like yeah, they don't need that many places right
Mm-mm.
there, right? Some chiropractors also do hour-long appointments. So not every single software is made for high volume chiropractic in mind. Half of the people that are listening here probably aren't high volume,
Mhm.
and that's fine. And so I really like how Jane is willing to work with you. The best features I think that Jane has is one, they do automatic appointment reminders, and you can put as many of them as you want, and you can do email and text reminders.
Mhm.
If you listen back in our episodes, we were going to switch to ChiroTouch because I wanted the integrated payment processor because I was spending all of my time literally
Mhm.
just going backlogging all these payments and it was taking me literally hours a week.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, you hired someone to do that at one point.
yeah, I literally hired somebody to do that at one point and it was taking forever. So then I built out this AI robot and it's perfect. It's the best money. It's the best $200 I spend each month. But Jane, you can put as many reminders as you want. And in Cairo Touch, that was like an extra $60. And you could only have
Oh, wow.
either an email or a text. You get one or the other
Mm.
for $60 extra.
That's something people, you might be listening and be like, is that a big deal? That's something, at least for us, not every patient mentions it, but a lot of patients, when they first start care, they're like, thank you so much for like the 24-hour text and email reminders, like
Yep.
2 hour. Like people actually like really love that.
Yeah, we switched all of our appointment reminders because people were like, I get a ton of emails, dude. I never check my email. And so I took off all of our email reminders, and we have 3 text reminders because we have a very hyper local practice. So most of our people live within 10 to 20 minutes of our practice, if not 5 minutes of our practice. And so people were asking like, hey, do you have a 30-minute appointment reminder that I can get? And so we send a 24-hour one, a 2-hour one, and a 30-minute appointment. And what I like about Jane is I can change the language in each one of those. And so like one of them says like, hey, can't wait to see you tomorrow at blah 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 blah. And then like I can put like, woohoo, today's the day you're getting adjusted, see you in 2 hours. And then be like, see you just a bit, like in 30 minutes or something like that. And I can change all that. And then what's cool is like, since we moved, I just changed the language in our text reminders to say, don't forget, we're at our new address, and drop the address in there.
Yeah, that's something really nice with
And
Sched too, is you can, Sched is really easy to
so
customize those as well.
that's really nice. What I also really like is that I can have all kind of different forms, and I attach them to different types of appointments. So when a
Mhm.
pregnant mom comes in and we schedule her, it just takes a step out of our
Staff's time.
front desk and our staff's time, because when we book that prenatal initial visit, they automatically get sent the pregnancy paperwork.
Mhm.
And so now you're not able to accidentally send the wrong forms, because sometimes we were busy, we'd accidentally press the wrong thing, send the wrong form, and so now a kid is getting the adult form, or the dad is getting the pregnancy form, and those kind of things. And so that's all sitting there. That's nice, dude. I really like a lot of the stuff. And then the biggest thing is like when we were interviewing, because we were thinking about switching from Jane too, to kind of beef up our volume, I had my office manager actually research all of our EHRs, and then she had to go and set up
Mhm.
the different demos and stuff, and then she talked to them and did all that stuff. And I was like, it's your choice. And she's like, I think that Jane just has more features. It's an easier user interface, and all of our problems are the same, just in a different color, basically,
Mhm.
like with the other EHRs. So yeah, I've been super happy with Jane. I tried to switch to HD at one point. I tried to switch to Cairo Touch, and I just couldn't outweigh the benefits of it, because a lot of the features that Jane has included by default, you have to add in as a plugin.
Mhm.
You have to say, okay, then I need this software to help out with this, or I need this software to help out with that. And I like having everything in one software at a time.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing too, is just keeping it all. And that's another reason why I'm considering that switch to HD, is because I don't like that. Like with HD, from what I remember, is all the texting and the calendar, everything is all like on the home screen. So you're not having to toggle back and forth, where like our front desk has to toggle between Platinum and Sched,
Yeah.
and it could be 20, 30 minutes before someone gets a text back, because they're just not toggling back and forth. And not that we have to respond within 20, 30 minutes, but when it's someone trying to change an appointment or whatever, sometimes you want to respond as fast as you can.
Yeah, and I mean, Jane doesn't have a two-way texting, but
Hmm.
we use a different phone line. It's $15 a month,
Hmm.
and we get 5 lines off of that, and it all goes to the same number, so we can have 5 people on staff,
Hmm.
and all the phones ring at the same time. It's
Hmm.
nice. And we use our personal phones, so then it saves me expense off of the phones. And like from a business side, like when we hire and or let go of people, I can add people and drop people off of that list, and then
Hmm.
they don't have access to the contacts and stuff anymore. And so I really like that. I've looked so many times for new phone software, and I just can't find one that is better than what we're using either.
What phone software are you using?
Right now we use Index, dude. It used to be Sideline, and then they have a business like brother company or sister company. It's this company, communications company called Pinger,
Hmm.
and they have this like one. It's called Sideline, and then we use Index, which is their business version of Sideline, and it's been fantastic. It's $16 a month for 5 lines. It uses your existing phone line, so then
Hmm.
you don't have to go through the whole anti-spam texting thing.
Hmm.
But since the caveat is, since you can't do the whole since you don't go through the whole anti-spam text thing, you can't text blast people.
Mm.
So I can't like text every one of my contacts saying like, hey, the office is closed, or hey, we're moving, or anything like that. So that is a hurdle. But we just email blast people, and we just tell people like, hey, the big office announcements come in your email. And I like that anyway, because I want people to be reading my email newsletters, because marketing.
Right.
So
Right.
it kind of makes people pay attention to our emails a little.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, dude, and I mean, so that's really what we got.
EHRs are a fun. It's a fun thing to work through.
Yeah, I can keep. I mean, the biggest thing, I really like HD on the provider side of things. Like, it's really nice as a chiropractor to be looking at HD. I feel like they fall a little short on the patient side of things.
I have my I have a demo call. So you did a demo call with HD
Hmm.
2023.
I did a demo call with HD in at Thanksgiving this past year.
Okay. So yeah, because we both have questions for HD. So very well. I have questions,
Yeah.
and you've had questions.
Yeah, and so I mean, I like, yeah, I've asked them about all those kind of things, and when I had Logan demo them, she had just said like, it just seems like we would have to add a bunch of more softwares to do the same stuff that we're doing at Jane right
Mm-hmm.
now. And like, yeah, dude, who knows? I mean, Jane has this new feature called like tables and stuff, so it'll say like on the schedule, it'll say like table 1, table 2, table 3,
Mm-hmm.
and that's kind of how we have our schedule divided up, and so we can kind of organize people to where it's not this just big like conglomerate and stuff. So we have one that's like our consult room, and then another one that's
Mm-hmm.
our 2 tables and stuff. And so kind of manage the schedule that way. I've just spent a lot of time. I've read the entire Jane guide. Like, I've crawled through like every inch of the software before I even had the demo with them, just where I knew all their features. But
Mm-hmm.
I like it. It works for us right now. It's simple and it's cheap too. Like, I'm grandfathered in at their old plan. And before they raised their prices, they were saying like, hey, we're going to be raising prices. So you'll be grandfathered in at whatever you're currently at starting X date. And so I actually upgraded to the top tier Jane insurance plan, like with all of their features, just in case, like, say, like, who knows if I'll maybe one day out of the nowhere, I'll just start taking insurance
Right.
or all this stuff. So I upgraded to their top tier level, so I could get the grandfathered pricing in there. And so then I'm paying actually about what it costs at their base plan for their top tier now, which is nice. So I took advantage of that. It's been great, dude. It's been solid.
Nice. Yeah, I think for me, the frustrating part is like I'd love to stay with Platinum if they were already cloud based, but
Yeah.
when you're almost a year later and we're still not cloud based, it's frustrating.
What issue are you having like with just the server thing other than the wires and stuff? Like what's your pain point around them being cloud
So like
based?
only one of our computers is fast enough. So we have multiple computers hooked up to the server, but because there's like a main computer. And so that's the computer I take notes on, but that's also our office manager's computer. So like I would have to stay extra long to take notes or like have her just go stand off to the side. And so that's a really frustrating part. I know that is probably not an issue, but for some offices, because I know like
You just get a
in my
second
internship,
computer.
yeah. But it's just frustrating. Like I don't know. I would really prefer cloud based.
Well, dude, it's nice because like so this is kind of where we're shifting into our right now. Logan, she's kind of doing like 2 jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, she's like all of our customer service stuff, and then she's also our like just day to day office manager. And so right now on our big computer, she's like doing like the check in and check out, and then she's doing everybody's billing stuff on her personal laptop because she's like it's just nice to be able to have all of it in front of me at one time. Like it would be like having multiple screens with multiple windows open, but it's just less clutter. But what's cool is like we just hired this girl. Her name's Brittany, and she was a office manager for another chiropractic couple in California. They're moving here to be closer to family, and she already knows Jane. They use Jane at the other clinic, and she's going to be like kind of our check in and check out. And so
Mm-hmm.
what happens is on day 1, on day 2 is when people sign up for care, Logan's just going to take her personal computer into the consult room after the
Nice.
people sign up for care. And then she's going to say like, hey, we're going to book out all of your visits for right
Nice.
there to where, one, that takes a lot of congestion off of the front desk. It
Mm-hmm.
gets her one-on-one time with new people. So they start getting like more used to having like that concierge service, and then she can just open and close her laptop and get on the software like whenever she wants. Like with a server-based thing, you can't do that. You have to have that computer like hardwired into that station, which that's cool, dude. But like we've moved offices 3 times. Like you've switched
Right.
EHRs every year. I've moved offices every year.
Yeah.
And so
Well,
like,
and I think too, Jane is very multiple clinic oriented
yeah, it's super multiple clinic oriented, which is cool.
and multiple providers. Like if you added a massage therapist, I'm pretty sure you could just add them onto Jane.
Yeah, you
Maybe.
can. I've thought about doing that. I've thought about doing that, and that's cool. But then you become liable for all their documentation. I'd rather just have like,
Yeah.
I like to just keep everything clean.
Right.
Like
Right.
if I had, I don't know, maybe I'd have to learn more about it and stuff. But like if I had, let's say like I would add massage therapy or something like that, I would probably still use Jane just for all the patient facing stuff, but I would just have my own account for it. Just I don't want it, if it's a different business, I just want it to be separate to where everything is like separate and filed away organized.
It's not sexy, but it's very important.
Dude, I think it's fun. I mean, it's like it's the foundation of all of your systems. Like everything in your practice eventually is going to run through that EHR. It's a huge decision to make, and it's like you can always switch. That's the biggest thing too, is like you can always switch. It's a pain. It'll probably take you 2-3 months to kind of get it all up and running and transferred over. And then you're paying double for whatever you're paying per month for the software. But that's why it's just do your research, do your demos. And a lot of these EHRs have their user's guide online so that their customers can find it. Like when I interviewed HD, this is when I was sitting in the sauna. I would sit in the sauna and I would read through the HD user's manual, just like I did Jane whenever I was first starting up, just so I could look at all their features. Because, dude, just like your iPhone, like there's so many hidden features in your iPhone, like you're just not using it to the fullest potential, right? Like, how many people use the Measure app on their iPhone?
That I bet most people don't even know that you have a tape measure.
Dude, when I was moving offices right here, because it's cool, what you can do is you do the virtual reality tape measure. You put one pin and then you do the other one, and then you can take a screenshot and then you get a picture of the thing and the dimensions. Like, so, I mean, half of the people don't even use that on their iPhone, and that was super handy.
I mean, you
But
can
like,
the measuring tape. There's a leveler. Like, yeah.
and like, so your softwares are all like that. And so it's really just you just read the user's manual. Like, yeah, I didn't even know I had a 12-volt outlet in my glove compartment in my truck the other day because I just never looked there, and I was like, dang, I can like actually like plug something in right here. It's pretty sweet.
Right.
So yeah, just do your due diligence, read up on the different softwares, figure out like what's your goal. I think Jane is really good for prenatal pediatric offices because moms are so busy that having a software that kind of takes care of everything in front of them and it's super simple, like that's really good customer experience. If you're going to be doing a lot of insurance, if you're going to be doing a lot of personal injury, if you need like really heavily extensive documentation, like I don't even know what that hex form, I think you called it. I don't even know what that is. And so like if you need something like that, it's good to have something that can, get those done. Yeah. So I mean,
Find what works best for you, which I feel like is what we commonly come back to on the podcast. Is it's just the first few years in practice. It's figuring out your systems, figuring out what works best for you, figuring out how you're going to get the best out of everything you're doing, and then amplifying it from there.
yeah, maybe we'll start doing more like product reviews like this because like I'm a huge Mac guy. I'll never have a Windows computer in my practice ever.
That's another issue with being server based. Can't use Macs.
Yeah. So, all right, guys, y'all have a great day. Thanks for listening to the What Now podcast. Peace.
Peace.
Cool. I got to get on my call.